Hello, I'm Maurice Bernard. This is my official YouTube channel. I'll be keeping you updated with the latest news, so please subscribe to my channel. The moment Joe arrived at PCPD with that polished image of honesty and discipline, I immediately felt uncomfortable. Perhaps that comes from decades of watching this show teach us that the most dangerous people in Port Charles are rarely the loudest or the most violent. The truly dangerous ones smile calmly while dismantling institutions from within. Joe carried exactly that kind of energy from the beginning. He presented himself as dependable, controlled, and loyal to justice, but underneath that polished exterior, I sensed a kind of emotional emptiness that made him unpredictable. When the story revealed that Joe was secretly working for Sidwell, I was not shocked by the betrayal itself. What shocked me was how quickly the writers established that Joe was not simply feeding information. He was actively restructuring the balance of power inside PCPD. There is a major difference between a corrupt officer taking bribes and a planted insider helping manipulate the entire justice system. That distinction matters because it changes the emotional weight of every police scene moving forward. The late night sequence where Joe secretly destroyed files connected to Sidwell's smuggling operation may have been one of the most quietly terrifying moments this show has produced in a long time. There were no explosions, no dramatic confrontations, no screaming arguments, just a man standing inside a police department, calmly erasing evidence while pretending to serve justice. That silence made the scene feel even more disturbing because it symbolized how deeply corruption had already spread into the foundation of Port Charles. And yet, the most fascinating part of that entire situation was the hidden camera recording part of Joe's actions. That single detail changed everything for me because it introduced something far more dangerous than exposure. It introduced paranoia. Joe now understands there is evidence somewhere inside PCPD that could destroy him completely. From that moment forward, every glance from a coworker, every unexpected question, every missing document becomes a potential threat in his mind. Longtime viewers understand that characters like Joe often become more reckless once fear enters the equation. What truly concerns me is how quickly Joe moved toward framing another officer before anyone could suspect him. That decision revealed his real nature more clearly than the file destruction itself. A guilty man hides evidence. A truly corrupted man sacrifices innocent people without hesitation. Joe crossed that moral line instantly, and once a character reaches that point in General Hospital, redemption becomes almost impossible. I also cannot stop thinking about what this storyline says regarding the condition of PCPD itself. For years, viewers have joked that Port Charles has one of the least secure police departments imaginable, but now the show is turning that weakness into something emotionally meaningful. If Sidwell has successfully embedded someone like Joe deep within the department, then every arrest, every investigation, and every courtroom outcome becomes questionable. Suddenly, the audience cannot trust the system anymore, and that uncertainty creates tremendous dramatic tension. The part that fascinates me most is Sidwell's patience. Sidwell is not behaving like a traditional soap villain who seeks immediate domination through violence alone. Instead, he is slowly converting institutions into weapons. First, the hospitals became vulnerable. Now, PCPD is becoming compromised. I would not be surprised if future storylines reveal financial systems, political offices, or even media connections quietly falling under his influence as well. Sidwell seems obsessed with creating invisible control rather than visible chaos. That is why I believe the situation involving Nathan, who is actually Cassius, is much more important than many viewers currently realize. I have a strong feeling Sidwell views Cassius as a liability because Cassius represents unpredictability. Sidwell can control fear. He can control corruption, but he cannot fully control people who still possess remnants of conscience or emotional independence. If Sidwell truly intends to eliminate Cassius, then it suggests Cassius may know secrets capable of destroying the entire operation. And honestly, I think Joe is beginning to realize he may eventually become disposable too. That realization could become the emotional turning point of this entire storyline. Criminal organizations built on manipulation eventually consume their own members. Joe may believe he is gaining power inside PCPD, but from my perspective, he already looks trapped. Every cruel task Sidwell orders him to perform pushes him deeper into psychological isolation. He cannot trust coworkers. He cannot reveal fear. He cannot step backward without risking destruction. As an older viewer, I find that kind of emotional deterioration far more compelling than endless action scenes. Watching a character slowly lose his sense of identity creates a very human tragedy. Joe entered the department pretending to represent order, but now he is becoming a symbol of moral collapse inside Port Charles itself. One detail I found especially powerful was the idea that PCPD has unknowingly become a launching platform for Sidwell's expansion. That concept transforms the storyline from personal corruption into systemic infection. Every time the police fail to stop a crime, viewers will now question whether Joe manipulated the outcome. Every failed investigation suddenly feels suspicious. Even ordinary mistakes carry darker implications because the audience understands sabotage may be happening behind closed doors. I also believe the writers are intentionally showing how dangerous institutional trust can become when good people stop questioning appearances. Joe succeeded because he looked respectable. He sounded professional. He understood how to imitate integrity. That is a frighteningly realistic theme, especially for longtime viewers who have watched Port Charles repeatedly place faith in the wrong individuals over the years. At the same time, I think the hidden camera footage creates one of the strongest suspense elements the show has introduced recently. Somewhere inside PCPD exists partial proof of Joe's betrayal, but partial proof can be even more dangerous than complete proof. Incomplete evidence creates confusion. It creates room for manipulation. Joe may attempt to alter footage, redirect suspicion, or destroy records before investigators connect everything together. That uncertainty keeps the tension alive beautifully. And I must say this clearly. I do not believe Sidwell's true objective is simple smuggling anymore. Smuggling is merely the financial engine supporting a much larger operation. Sidwell appears to be constructing influence networks capable of controlling how justice functions in Port Charles. Once criminals influence policing, medical systems, and legal outcomes simultaneously, the city itself becomes vulnerable to psychological occupation. That may sound dramatic, but General Hospital has always thrived when it treats emotional corruption as seriously as physical violence. I find myself wondering whether Dante will eventually become the first person to suspect the truth about Joe. Dante has always possessed strong instincts regarding hidden corruption, particularly when institutions begin behaving strangely. If Dante notices inconsistencies inside PCPD while simultaneously investigating Sidwell-related activity elsewhere, the collision between those storylines could become explosive. The emotional impact would be enormous because betrayal inside law enforcement cuts differently than ordinary criminal activity. There is also something deeply tragic about the possibility that innocent officers may suffer because of Joe's desperation. The moment he considered framing another colleague, the entire emotional atmosphere shifted. We are no longer watching a man merely protect himself. We are watching someone willing to destroy honest people to maintain the illusion of order. That moral decay is difficult to reverse. What impresses me most about this storyline is how patiently it builds dread. Older viewers like me appreciate suspense that unfolds gradually. Every episode adds another layer of pressure rather than rushing toward instant revelations. Joe's fear continues growing. Sidwell's control expands quietly. PCPD becomes more unstable. The audience senses disaster approaching even before the characters fully understand the danger themselves. I also think the writers are cleverly exploring the idea that evil survives best when hidden inside ordinary systems. Sidwell does not need constant public violence because corruption inside institutions accomplishes more than chaos on the streets ever could. If police records disappear, if investigations become manipulated, and if innocent people are blamed for crimes they did not commit, then fear spreads naturally through the city. And perhaps that is the most chilling aspect of all. Sidwell is not merely trying to win battles. He is trying to reshape reality inside Port Charles. He wants citizens to lose faith in truth itself. Once people no longer trust police, hospitals, or courts, manipulation becomes much easier. As I continue watching this unfold, I cannot help feeling that Joe's story is heading toward either complete destruction or painful redemption. There is no middle ground left for him now. The deeper he sinks into Sidwell's control, the more impossible escape becomes. Yet soap operas often remind us that guilt eventually destroys even the most disciplined liars. Joe may succeed temporarily, but emotionally he already appears exhausted by the weight of what he has become. And if Cassius truly possesses information capable of exposing Sidwell's broader operation, then Sidwell's desperation may soon intensify dramatically. Dangerous men become even more dangerous when they sense control slipping away. That possibility alone makes every upcoming episode feel unpredictable. This is exactly the kind of layered storytelling that keeps longtime fans emotionally invested after all these years. The danger no longer comes only from guns or mob wars. The danger now comes from invisible corruption spreading through trusted institutions while ordinary people remain unaware. Watching PCPD slowly transform from a symbol of protection into a weapon for Sidwell's expansion creates an atmosphere of tension that feels both modern and deeply unsettling. Right now, General Hospital feels alive with paranoia, fear, and emotional instability in the best possible dramatic way. Every hallway inside PCPD suddenly feels suspicious. Every erased file feels dangerous. Every nervous glance from Joe carries the possibility of exposure. And somewhere behind all of it stands Sidwell, patiently tightening his grip on Port Charles while the city slowly realizes that the enemy may already be sitting safely inside the institutions meant to protect them. Thank you for watching my video. I will regularly update you with the latest news about the drama General Hospital, so please stay tuned.